On behalf of SolarWinds and CARAHCAST, we would like to welcome you to today's podcast, Gaps Exist in Your Monitoring Infrastructure. Know Your Weaknesses, where Scott Pross, Vice President of Technology at Monolithic, will discuss what to focus on to prevent monitoring gaps in the future.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Scott Pross. I'm the Vice President of Technology for Monolithic. I've been doing SolarWinds for about 16 years, and today we're going to be discussing a gap that exists in your monitoring infrastructure. Know your weaknesses. So this is something that's super important. We're going to go into some details about how do we do this, how do we identify them, what do we do when we do find them, and even the political hurdles that we have to work through in order to get around these. So without too much fanfare, let's go ahead and get started. So just a little bit about myself. As I mentioned, I've been doing SolarWinds for about 16 years. I learned SolarWinds when I had to build up a NOC from the ground up for a billion-dollar company. We had a 99.99% customer-facing SLA. That gave me 4 minutes and 37 seconds of downtime a month for 33,000 devices. So you might imagine you get pretty good with it. And a lot of those tips and tricks and those struggles that I learned when I was running that NOC have really helped me in my professional career with Monolithic and SolarWinds. It's really been able to show me where, my weaknesses were as a NOC engineer and then a NOC manager, and how I can turn those gaps that I had in not only my knowledge but also my monitoring environment into something now that was resolved and not only works for me but now actually works for my customers as well. So as we go through today, just know that, many of these tips and tricks are things that are just happen to me in the real world. And it's how we got around a lot of these problems that we saw as we were seeing them at different points. So let's first define what it is we're talking about here. What actually is a monitoring gap? So a monitoring gap is a known or an unknown. It's important to know that there's two kinds of monitoring gaps here. Area in your monitoring infrastructure that doesn't allow you to know the status, changes, or failures in your infrastructure. So that can not, don't just think about devices here when we're thinking about this. Think of interfaces, volumes, think of applications, think of network bandwidth, all of those little things. Now, we all know we can't cover everything. We're very much aware of that. We're already drinking from the fire hose when it comes to monitoring. That already exists for each and every one of us. The amount of information that SolarWinds is taking in, and then that we have to consume as a NOC engineer or an infrastructure engineer or as directors that are responsible for the environment is huge. So the question is, how do we put that lay out that information out so we don't have any gaps in our monitoring? Not only the information that we're bringing in, but also understand what information that we're not seeing. What are we not aware of? So the second part, is a gap can cause an engineering monitoring team to miss a failure and not identify the cause of the failure. Both of those are significant and they're actually separate, even though people think they're the same. The first one is you missed the failure. Okay. And now a customer, for example, or a user is calling you up to say, I can't do X, Y, Z. That's always bad. It's, whenever you call Comcast, let's say, because your internet goes down, you as a customer always get a better feeling. It's not a great feeling, but it's a better feeling when you call Comcast to tell them that your internet's not working and they go, we know about it.